Alright, so here we have yet another unboxing, but this time a much more interesting item. We have a HTC Vive Cosmos Elite, and it's one of the full kits. So not just the headset on its own, but it has the controllers and the sensors and all that. And it's quite cool. So if we get onto the little pamphlet on the back, so this is like a whole thing that slides out like that, but on the back of it we have all this amazing information, some game images, I guess. Vive port ad, GoPro, Firefox, all these things. Angry Birds in VR, that would be interesting. But yeah, let's get straight into it. This is some of the stuff it comes with. It comes with all the cables and some stuff to mount everything if you want to do it that way. So let's slide it out this way, why not? Let's see how we go. Now it should be completely sealed. And it is. We have a piece of tape to remove right here. Slice that open. That has been sliced, and now we lift this up, and we rotate the box. There's a lot of stuff in this package. There's about 5 kilos worth of cables and things to go through, so I'm actually going to move this over a bit. But let's lift this up, and the first thing we see is a interesting looking setup guide. Let me move this so you guys can see it. We have a code for I think a month or two of something. I think it's for the Viveport service, which is an alternative to Steam VR, which not many people are going to use. I don't really see myself using that, so that's there if you want it. Under here is everything else, and that's the headset right there, 2 base stations, and looks like everything's labeled in steps. So let's go through this. I'm going to read what this says actually, because this looks interesting. Let's have a look. Vive QC passed. So it looks like there's 5 steps to this unboxing. I'm just going to have a little peek over here where there seems to be some documentation. We got some Vive stickers, probably some safety information, warranty stuff. That's cool. Looking at the instructions, it has step 1, which is to download the software, which I have already done, and then step 2, we go over here to the base station. So let's have a look at one of these. And it's a lot heavier than I expected it to be, actually, but you can see they have micro USB, some sort of 3.5mm sync system that they use, DC in as well, and a button for probably pairing of some kind. And you can kind of see inside them just a tiny bit there in the reflection. I think there's actually moving parts inside of these, which is really cool. I wonder how they're going to work being so far across the room, but we'll have to see when they get all plugged in. Okay, and now step 3 is to presumably open this up. Okay, this is definitely not the correct way of opening it. There we go. Down here we have what looks like, I think, the mounting stuff for this. Okay. We have a power brick for the base station, or one of the base stations. And then we have another power brick for the other base station. In here is the controllers, I believe. Let's have a look. We've got something I nearly dropped. Looks like a micro USB charging cable. Pretty cool. Another power brick. This one's probably for the headset itself, I believe. I'm not too sure. We'll have to not mix those up. And also in here we have, I think it's just a cleaning cloth for the headset lens. There's one more thing here. If we look right there, I believe we can pull this tab and slide out this, which is a DisplayPort to mini DisplayPort adapter. Interesting. I wonder if that's, what would that be for? Oh, laptops. Probably for laptops if you wanted to use this on a laptop. I'm going to put this back in there just because. Step 4 is next, which is the documentation, I believe. Or is it the headset itself? Probably the headset itself. Let's, how are we going to lift this out? Probably from like down here. And wow, this is much, much lighter than I expected it to be. Honestly, this is probably going to be insanely comfortable to wear. And finally we have step 5, which I believe I can lift up like that, and inside here, oh, here's the controllers. That would be it. They're not sealed or anything. I think they just come out like that. This is what they look like. Got a button on the back, nice and clicky actually. I think it's a analog trigger, that, which is nice. These feel surprisingly comfortable for what they are. I think I think you just hold them like this and you wouldn't interact with anything up here at all. That's just for tracking, but holding them like this already feels pretty comfortable. We'll have to see what they're like in game. Looks like one more thing down here. We lift this up. We have a few things actually. 2 power bricks, just some small ones there. Some USB cables, USB-A to micro USB, 2 of those. And is that it? I think that's it. Looking at the documentation here, we've got 2-year limited warranty information there. Pretty boring. We've got, I think this is just safety and regulatory information. Nothing cool there. This one here though, measuring your interpupillary distance, I definitely said that wrong. There's a ruler thing you have to use for this. It's actually very interesting looking. I will have to do that. After setup is complete, put on the headset, rotate the knob to set the distance between the lenses using your IPD, which is pretty cool. So you can adjust quite a lot with this. Of course, you also get your 2 stickers right there. And finally, the overview of like the contents and just some basic information there, I think. How to remove the headphones built in if you want. I believe you can do that. And also adjusting the headset, which is good. So let's go over everything individually here. So the first thing which looks the coolest to me is the little conversion box that the headset itself must plug into here. It has some sort of proprietary port right there that actually connects to it. But on the other end is a USB 3 connector and a DisplayPort connector, which is standard. But this, I'm hoping it doesn't break easily, because if it's proprietary like that, it's going to be expensive to replace for sure. I imagine these are not cheap cables for one, but let's hope it's pretty durable. Let's see how long it is. Okay, so it's not that long. It's about less than a meter even, probably about 80 centimeters if I had to guess. Yeah, so that's the main little box there. I think the headset cable itself is 5 meters. So let's go to the next item. What we have is this micro USB cable here labeled C1. Now this is probably for charging the controllers, because as you'll see, there are 2 of them, but they really aren't that long. They're about as long as a standard phone charger, probably a meter exactly, which is definitely not enough for the recommended 2-meter height. They have to have the base stations up, especially if your PC is not in the corner of your room. Alright, next let's have a look at whatever this bag contains. So this is the base station mounting guide. So this just must be the mounting gear for the base stations, which I believe it is. Yeah, look at that. You get quite a few things there. Interesting. So you must be able to do this without many tools if you wanted to just install them on a wall. Normally, it takes 2 screws like that, which they include nicely. Yeah, there's the mounting stuff. I wonder what the guide has in it, if anything useful. Set them in opposite corners of your space. Above head height, ideally more than 2 meters. Make sure 2 stations aren't more than 5 meters or 16 feet apart. Okay, so we also have 2 of these little power brick things here, and they're both rated for 200 milliamps input and 5 volts 1 amp out. So that's not a lot of power. I was gonna say they're for the base stations, but I doubt it, because there are 2 other power bricks which are bigger than these. So these are probably just to charge the controllers, honestly, which is very nice of them to include, because most of the USB stuff that has a USB connector on it, it just is meant to be plugged into a computer, and that's what they expect you to do, to charge stuff like this. But that's nice of them to include these. All right, so we have 2 separate little power bricks for the actual base stations, I believe. 2.5 amps out, actually, at 12 volts. Interesting. So these are actually quite long cables. I want to say at least 2 meters, probably not quite 3 meters. And here we have what I believe to be the headset power adapter, and this one is a tiny bit different, I think. 2.5 amps output at 12 volt. No, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. It was just in a separate part of the box. I am going to keep it separate so I know which one it is, but they actually, it looks exactly the same. It's not labeled or anything, so it probably is the same exact power adapter as the base stations use. So this is the headset itself now. This is actually very different to what I expected. It's quite light, like very light, probably lighter than my main headset almost. And yeah, it looks very well padded, very comfortable. We'll have to see what it's actually like using it, but the cable is quite long, probably the longest cable out of everything in here. Let's figure out how long that is. So yeah, that's easily 5 meters, which is pretty perfect for the space I've got here. You shouldn't be able to like trip on it or anything. It's a pretty thick cable, and I don't think it like gets tangled easily or anything either. It's got the proprietary connector on the end, but this cable I believe is detachable from the headset because you can get a wireless adapter sold separately if you want to get rid of the cable entirely, which is very, very cool. So yeah, it's got some built-in headphones there. Got a warning. The warning says don't leave this in direct sunlight, basically, which is very important because if the sun goes directly into the lenses like that, it's going to magnify it and increase its brightness, and it will damage the screens from what I hear. So don't do that if you can avoid it. I'm wondering if there's a headphone jack at all. I know some of the earlier headsets definitely had one, but I think the later ones don't. This is here to adjust the distance between the lenses and your eyes, I believe, so you can turn that to do that. What else have we got? Got a button there, probably to power it on and off. There is a headphone jack right over here. Let's see if we can remove that. Yep, standard headphone jack right there. So you can plug in your own headphones if you wish, which would be very handy for me. What would be good is if you could access this without USB on the other end, but I don't think you'll be able to because of the dongle type thing you have to use. It doesn't have a 3.5mm input or output. That would be super cool if it did, because then I wouldn't have to run a separate microphone slash set of headphones if I did want to try and record this. We'll see how we go. It might not be too difficult in the end. And finally, our last two pieces are our two base stations, which have mounting things there and there. None on the sides, but yeah, that's what the little base station looks like. And the two controllers. I think these have charging ports somewhere on them. I'm not too sure. They do, right on the bottom, of course. And yeah, that's how they work. Nice and very comfortable, I will say. Oh, we've got side buttons. So yeah, that's everything. Let's get it all set up now then. Something annoying. I've just gone to plug in my first base station, which I have set up over here for now. But I've grabbed the power brick and look at this. It's sideways. But because it sticks out this way, where it's sideways, you can't actually plug it in to like a power strip that you normally could, unless you have it at the end, which means I need to rearrange these cables. Here's the issue I'm talking about. One of these bricks basically takes up about 3 slots on a power strip like that. So plug that in, that slot is unusable, that slot is probably unusable. We kind of have to have multiple power strips because we have to plug them in on the ends in order to not cover up any actual sockets here, which is super annoying. So I'm on the PC now with the software set up side of it, and it tells you that you need a minimum play area of 2 meters by 1.5 meters, which I think I literally just have like exactly. It might be a tiny bit over, but that's perfect for the space I have. But the maximum you can have is 5 meter by 5 meter space, which is insane. If you had that much space for VR, you'd be able to play so many games, like just walking around. That'd be so cool. But yeah, next step is to prepare for setup. You may need tools for setup, including a drill. You can also use tripods or clamp mount instead. So find your power adapters, and surprisingly you don't need USB on them. Okay, are they wireless completely? That's very cool if they are, because the power cables are about 3 meters and the micro USB cables that were supplied are about 1 meter. So it will be very handy if they are indeed wireless. We'll have to see. let's get those set up then. Okay, so these are sold separately. You can get some clamp mounts or a tripod light stand type thing. I might actually end up getting one of these and just mounting it on my key light stand, because that would be very easy to just have set up. I don't know if that's 2 meters high though. Probably just short of it. I don't know if it would matter if there is a big light above it or not, or if there's anything obstructing it or anything like that. Probably got to have a clear line of sight between the two different sensors. So I've got to make sure I do that, but we'll get these set up. Yeah, here we go. Less than 5 meters apart, in line of sight of each other. 120-degree field of view. So let's have a go at doing that then. Okay, so that took me about an hour, but I got this guy plugged in over here. It's flashing, doing things. Very, very cool. I'm not going to look directly at it because it's infrared. I'm sure it's fine, but it is very bright. We also have one over here. So what I've done is this actually uses a standard camera tripod mount. So I just had one of these little portable snake tripod things, and I've run the cable for it here for now. And we're just going to test it out like this, do some calibration, try and figure out where the best spot is, and then we'll probably put it up there somewhere on the wall nice and neat. But for now, let's continue with the setup. Okay, so we've just placed the base stations and turned them on, which is the next step. So power cables, make sure both status lights are green. They definitely are. One channel indicator set to B while one is set to C. Okay, hang on. This one's on C, the other one's on B. Okay, that's correct. I wonder what A is. Next, converter. Find the converter and its components just below. Complete the next steps to connect the converter to your PC. So, yep, I've got all that. Next, connect the power cable and plug in the adapter to a power outlet. Next, connect the converter to your PC. I shall do that. Okay, so I have just plugged it in. It does need a USB 3 port or higher, so you can use a 10 gig port as well, which of course you could. Headset, plug that in with the cable. Let's give that a go. So I've removed the protective film and plugged in the headset, and a whole bunch of stuff popped up. Watchman dongle, whatever that is. I think an audio device even came up here. It must have disappeared. All right, let's go to the next step. Take the headset cable to the converter. Detected, detected. Take Windows detected device. Yep. Next, updating firmware. This may take several minutes. It keeps coming up in Discord on my other screen that a new audio device is detected, so it must be messing with that. Oh, the update finished. So, controllers. Now set up the controllers. Find the two controllers in the box. I have found them. Turn the controllers on. Wait for the controllers to beep and check if the status light shows as green. So Steam VR has just popped up. Steam VR wants me to set up it as well, which I'll do in a minute. Let me finish this setup first. So from what I understand, this Vive setup here is not a requirement, but I only did it because I believe it's the only way to upgrade the firmware. But normally you would just use either Steam VR or the Vive port software, but probably Steam VR for most people. So go to the next step now. Now Steam VR will guide you to set the boundaries of your play area. Launch room setup. I think that's what opened before. It's probably this. So, oh, something else popped up. Connect to Steam VR. And also there is another window that says waiting, which is probably because of this thing. Okay, so room scale or standing only. Just so you have limited space to walk around. So I do have a 2 meter by 1.5 meter area. I'm not sure. I might try room scale just to see what it's like. Make some space. Space and floor space. 2 meters by 1. Yep, it is. Establish tracking. Turn on the controllers and place the controllers and headset in a location visible from the base stations. Oh, okay. So I got to put them. All right. I've managed to adjust the headset so that it fits, which it does. It took about 5 minutes of adjusting. Relatively comfortable now. Matter of dialing it in perfectly, I guess. So it's been about a week since the last clip, and since then I have done a few things. Mostly, the biggest one is that I have mounted the base stations on the walls. There's one over here, and there's also one up here now. So before it was over here, and I had the other one just on a little tripod, and I struggled with the room setup, so I couldn't actually get the room properly laid out, and it wouldn't track completely correctly all the time. So I think what I needed to do was just have them higher, which is what I've done now. One thing I will point out is the screws it includes, we didn't actually end up using. Also the little wall anchors, the plastic ones, are no good as well, because you couldn't actually get a grip on anything to screw in the actual screw. We had to use a completely separate kit to actually fasten these to the walls. But as you can see now, like, these are not going anywhere. These are like stuck in there. They're nice and solid, and I'm happy with how those have turned out. But yeah, as for the headset itself, so I've actually got two cables running to it. So I ran a separate audio cable for my my headphones. So I actually used the built-in headphones, and all I've done is I removed the cable that came with it that actually goes inside here somewhere, and I added my own, which runs around, and it just comes out. It comes out over here. So I have two cables, one for my sound that comes from my mixer, and one for the video for the headset and all that stuff. One thing I will mention is I tried to run my mic cable with that as well, so it was hanging off the headset and cable managed nice and neatly, but unfortunately I had some interference issues when I was using the microphone cable. So it was just this cable here from this lav mic, and I don't know if it's because it has a bit of power running through it. It's got a little battery for using it with a mixer or a camera. But yeah, when I used that mic and it was running through the same cable as the headset, like touching it pretty much, I would not be able to play any games because it would keep losing the headset's position. Like, it wouldn't be able to track anything. Every few seconds it would just come up with a blank screen because the tracking was lost. But whereas now, if I just run the mic separately and I dangle it off from here or something just to stretch it across the room, it is perfect, and I've managed to play through at least 3 hours non-stop with no issues. That's the longest I've played with it so far, and it has been very comfortable. So yeah, let me give you a quick demo of what it is like in game. So here's something from one of my streams before. Damn it. Damn it. This is incredible. Oh my god. Just a quick heads up that the mic I used in this clip is actually not the one from the headset. The one from the headset sounds like this. This is a test of the Vive Cosmos Elite microphone. I wonder how good it sounds. Probably not great. Yeah, the mic really isn't great. That's one of the few things about it that bothers me. Everything else has just been perfect. So if you have a wireless mic already, which you're probably going to need for something like this, then I think you'll be set for recording. If you're not recording, you're just playing games, something like VR chat even, you'll probably get away with what's built in. But yeah, other than that, that's all there is to it. So that's the Vive Cosmos Elite, the full kit, available exclusively in Australia from EB Games. And I think it is definitely worth it. So if you're interested in this headset, go ahead, pick it up, give it a go. The other headset that's in this price range is the Valve Index, which is said to be a lot better. It doesn't have the wireless adapter capability like the Cosmos does, but if you're not in Australia, that's probably the best option for you. The main reason I got this one here was because I didn't want to spend money importing an Index, and also I kind of wanted the wireless functionality for the future if I did decide to go for that. So hopefully this video was helpful. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Maybe join the Discord or check me out on Twitch if you want to see more VR stuff. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.